Hello everyone, welcome back to more AEW on TEW 2020. We are here on the Rampage of July's Week 3. And we start off with already seeing some of the big things that happen when I change the booking a little bit just to add in 6-minute segments every so often. Because we start off with a 98 rated segment. Yes, a segment starts off the show. Of course, usually AEW likes to start with a match, but we instead start with Paul Heyman sitting in his office. He says, on Wednesday night, I was confronted in my office by Maxwell Friedman. In addition, behind the scenes, he has consistently been threatening me and Tony Khan with a breach of his contract until a new deal has been negotiated with him. Between talks between me, owner of AEW Tony Khan, and the head of talent relations, Christopher Daniels, as well as all of our lead investors, we have determined that this is an unacceptable action. So, effective immediately, Maxwell has been suspended for his actions toward the entirety of upper management. This is actually something that is coming up in game. his contract is expiring. He is asking for like $200,000. It's ridiculous. I don't know if I'll be able to afford him. So we'll have to see how that goes. Also, just give me one. Gotta change one thing in booking real quick. Alright, I just forgot that you have to actually set up a if you have to set up a turn. It's one that I've been setting up for a while, so forgot about that. Lexi Paradise wins in her debut match, defeating Kira Hogan. Twisted Bliss, I'll have to rename that. Don't worry. And yes, I'm aware. After the match, Janelle Dashwood comes out alone. Dressed in a fancy dress, kind of like what she had when she quote-unquote debuted as Emelina. She's just looking all fancy and also looking very upset. She says, listen up, Lexi. I don't want to get all tied up in all this stupid stuff with you. You're just trying to latch onto the greatness of the VIPs Club. I mean, I get it. MJF is the former world champion, one of the biggest draws in pro wrestling, and me and Diana, we're two of the most high-class women on the roster, hell, in the world. But honestly, right now, we have a little bit bigger things to worry about than your A-list aspirations. Look, if you want to get a match, that's fine. I can be glad to offer one. But you really need to make it worth our while, Lex, in order to get past all this other stuff that we're having to deal with. So, of course, last week, not even last week, on Wednesday, in-game Wednesday, the Brutality Inc. destroyed the lounge, destroyed the lobby of the VIP's lounge. And now, of course, MJF, he's been suspended, potentially might be out of the company. And Tenille, she's not willing to deal with Lexi Paradise. After this, Virgil Devitt is seen on camera with Jacob Fatu behind him. And he says, Jericho, for the past, over a month now, we've been going back and forth online. With you and your, let's be honest, subpar band on tour, you've not been around to face me. So let's just clear things up so you can get back to selling out mall stores with your band. I know Sammy's not available for you, but how about we go the rest of your inner circle to face off against the Princedom? I'll never be afraid of you, Jericho, because you can be immortal, you can be Le Champion, the Painmaker, you can be whoever you want, but there's one thing that you'll never be, one thing that you've never been over me. You'll never be the Prince of Pro Wrestling like I have. That's a feud that I should be using way more, but I'm just not. So, Fergie challenging the Inner Circle. Maki Ito defeats Serena Deeb. And afterwards, Maki celebrates her win when the lights go out. When they flash back on, Utami has completely laid out Maki. She's standing tall over her, no expression on her face. Abaddon, the zombie friend of Maki Ito, slides into the ring and stares down Utami, still no reaction. Completely stoic, completely stone-faced. Not intimidated by the zombie at all. Eventually, Abaddon starts to attack Utami, and the two begin fighting. they keep at this for a little while until Utami breaks away from Abaddon, and she's kind of like holding her neck as if she's been bitten. Can't do, like, it was when Abaddon and Shida, I think it might have been a match just on Dark, when Shida got pulled under the ring, came back out, had fake blood over her. And this is one, can't do that, so it's just Utami's holding her neck. She potentially could have some fake blood stuff with her, but I don't know. Utami's pissed, she yells at Abaddon in Japanese before leaving, completely disgusted by the zombie. After this, we get an 89 rated segment, as Paul Heyman is in his office when Jon Moxley barges in. Mox is seemingly trying to intimidate Heyman, but Heyman is too stressed out by his work to notice Mox's aura. Eventually, Mox makes he says something that's a little bit too interesting for Heyman to even ignore. He says, "Me and Brock have gone to draws twice already. I'm not willing to let that happen again." Next week's Rampage main event, me and Brock, no DQ. No draws, no holds barred, no time limit, nothing. I win. You listen to my demands, Heyman. But if Brock wins, I could be willing to pony up and be your corporate shill. And Heyman, he's mainly thinking of the ratings that Mox versus Brock could draw. The latter demands are still running across his mind, but it's like, okay, you know what? Sure. We'll book that for next week. After this, Kana defeats Big Swole. 77 rating. Good lord. Good lord. Oh, also, by the way, commentary. I noticed that on the dirt sheet. I have changed the commentary team up. I have removed Glenn Jacobs, Kane, from commentary. Kayfabe a reason of, like, he's going to focus on his political career again. Trish Stratus is now the third person on the booth. So it is Shivani, Fuka, and Trish Stratus. Fuka being Stardom's head trainer for a long time. After this, Kana's breathing heavily after the match. It was a tough fight, only barely able to get Big Swole to pass out. She waits for Big Swole to get up, come back to consciousness, before shaking her hand and leaving. And Swole is very confused. It's like, oh, okay. And Banks checks in, makes sure that she's alright, and she is. So good work there. This is what I had to do the change for. Christopher Daniels is being interviewed by Renee Paquette, and there's clips of Riho training in the background. It says, AJ Styles, you're right when you say that we've known each other for a long time, and you're right in saying that Priscilla is a damn good talent, but Riho, well, she's not just good. She's already proven herself as being able to be on the top of the world. She was the first AEW Women's Champion. That's something that we don't need to remind you of, but it's still always good to keep that in the back of your mind, and she's going to do it again. But I know what you're getting at, AJ. I know what you want to really do. So next week, we'll have a mixed tag match. You and Priscilla Kelly against me and Riho Kakashi. And yeah, I just wanted to change him. It's fine. Helps the gimmick getting stale, so. Yeah. Oh! Tony and Trish have good chemistry. Very interesting. Samoa Joe submits Dallas Montello. We've seen him before. He's currently working in DPW. Don't worry. We'll get DPW people back up. After the match, Tony Schiavone comes to the ring to interview Samoa Joe about why he choked out CM Punk after his previous match. Joe says, he's cost me my match. And quite frankly, Tony, I'm always sick of Punk thinking that he's this megastar. Punk, you gotta listen to me. When you watch the show, when you come out of the hospital, you will rewind this part time and time again because you know that what I'm saying is true. You spent 8 years away from this business entirely because you got upset that you weren't as big of a star as The Rock, that you weren't as big of a star as John Cena. You quit pro wrestling because you were drunk on your own hype. But me, through injury after injury, I kept going. Through time and time again when I wanted to do all this more, but the world wouldn't let me. I kept fighting. I stayed in this business despite everything trying to pull me down while you quit. Until this new year. Until 2022, when you decided AEW was the perfect spot, calling your name, the perfect spot for you to try to cash in one big check. You jumped back into the ring once you found somewhere that you could rule with an iron fist, and I am not having it, punk. Again, as I said, you'll watch this time and time again when you get out of the hospital, and listen to me good, and remember this, what I say at the end. I'm ready for you. Anytime, anywhere, I can bring you back into retirement whenever you want. A fiery promo for Samoa Joe. After this, Hangman Page is seen in a bar alone. Says Miro, "I've had this long story of redemption waiting for you, just like I had. You were this big villain, now you're proving yourself as an honorable man, while I was betrayed by friend, foe, anyone. Family, it seemed, betrayed me. I can respect the hell out of making yourself someone to be really redeemed, but there's still a difference between you and I. And it's not just that I have gold right now. And I won't be surprised if you give me a hell of a fight at All Out. And trust me, this will be at All Out. This is something that can't just be contained behind a pay-per-view. I want this to come all the way back 2 years ago. When you won that Battle Royale, when you pulled double duty on one of your first nights in the company, your first big show in AEW. But back to that difference between you and me. See, you were someone who's looking to redeem himself. You're someone who has been fighting by himself, but you weren't really by yourself. This entire time you had CJ Perry at your side. You at least had her close by. Even if she wasn't directly at ringside with you, you always had her that you could call up and ask for a good friend, if not more. But me? I've had nothing. All my friends turn their backs against me. I've had no one in my corner for years, while you just keep growing more and more. I'm not saying that you're a dishonorable man, Miro. In fact, I know how much you want an honorable matchup, and I'll definitely grant you one. I'm sure that you will bring this into an honorable matchup. You will bring this as much as fair of a fight as possible, but in order to do that, I want one request. I want you to make a promise for our world title match at All Out, Miro. Yeah, it's a month away, but I want you to promise me now that CJ Perry will not be in your corner. And bringing things down, Shotzi defeats Taya Valkyrie afterwards. After this, Mayu Iwatani's music hits, and the women's champ comes to the ring after the match. The women's world champ, of course. She looks Shotzi up and down and gives it a approving nod. You know, Mayu's always been a fan of Shotzi. But as Mayu is about to leave, Jade Cargill's music hits, and all four of the boss bitches come out onto the ramp. They say that while Mayu and Shotzi are cool or whatever, they can't come to the level of swagger, the level of confidence, the level of sheer power and presence that the boss bitches exhibit on a daily basis inside and outside of that ring. And Mayu just simply is like, alright, sure. I mean, you can say all this, but you gotta back it up. So, me and Shotzi, we're fine taking you all on. Taking y'all on. Taking them all on. And the boss bitches are like, alright, sure, we got the numbers advantage, why not? After this, Io Shirai is seen in a dark room talking to the camera. And she says, I saw that pathetic attempt of a team meeting on Wednesday, Kurt. But, of course, all that sad state of affairs aside, I want to bring this up to Layla. You want to try to bring yourself up to a legitimate level by going against me. As the greatest women's in the entire world, the greatest wrestler in the entire world, male or female, you could argue, I'm more than glad to take that challenge. I'll take on any challenge, anytime, because I have won anywhere. I've won everywhere, and I'm not done winning yet. So, you can bring it on, Layla. Bring friends, bring enemies, bring anyone. Anyone can challenge me and I will win. Io being very confident in herself, as she deserves to be. In our main event, Division defeat Proud and Powerful with the Powerbomb Meteora combo. Jake Roberts then gets on the mic after the match, and he begins to talk about how Division are ready to take back the titles that they never rightfully lost, which is true. However, before he can talk too in-depth, the Young Bucks interrupt them. And they say, and they're talking about, hey, we're the best team in the world, it's not even close. We're the reason that AEW is around, we're the reason that the tag team division is so strong. Then the Briscoes music hits, and they come down, and they're like, hey, you lost to us, so clearly you're not the best team in the world. But they're willing to entertain the idea of people being better than them, but probably not. We're confident enough to say that we can win in a triple threat tag team match, and the Bucks are like, hey, that's a good idea. Super kick to everyone except for Jake Roberts, he can't take bumps anymore. And both of them pick up one of the titles. They do their stupid little pose. Yeah, with the weird flexing thing. And they end the show with that 81 rated show. We've had our best segments because I finally realized, hey, I should make things longer than 4 minutes long for a segment. But we will move on next to Dynamite. See how the show goes from there.